Hey everybody, this is Madpup on part 4 of my Supremacy 1914 playthrough. I just finished all of my initial builds for the Ottoman Empire, and now I'm going to go back to my strategic view and go over with you guys how I'm going to initially place my troops and what my initial strategy is going to be. Now, with any country you pick, your first goal in mind should be to attack a country. Uh, Depending on what country you start off with, you should also work on building some sort of alliances with other countries. In some countries that you start off with, you don't really have to do that. Like if I started off with Southern United States, you don't need to form an alliance with anybody. You only have one country to worry about at a time. You might start some trade partnerships over in Europe, but for the most part, you don't need to worry about it. Southern Canada, if you realize Greenland's an active player, you might want to start an alliance with them. In most cases, you don't need to worry about it. Spain, you normally want to take over France right away. So, since Morocco is the closest nation to you, you might say, hey, you take Northern Africa, I take Europe, let's leave each other alone. Uh, but you also have other countries, like these Central European countries, where these are the only countries where you don't want to focus on attacking a nation right away. You want to focus on building your defenses and your economy, and then building relationships to protect your country. So let's say you started off as Poland. You're surrounded by four countries. You don't want to amass your troops and attack Lithuania because that's just going to invite Austria, Hungary, and Germany to come in and wipe you out. So what you want to do is I might look at this and be like, try to build an alliance with Germany and Austria-Hungary because they cover the most land area I have. Actually, it'd probably be better to start off with Germany and Lithuania as allies, because then you only have these three regions to worry about defending for your country. And then once maybe one of these countries looks like they go inactive, you could start taking them over. Or maybe if I wanted to take over Austria-Hungary, I keep these two regions defended here from the Ukraine, and me and Germany work together to take over Austria-Hungary. So that when you start off with one of these central regions, you have to be very strategic about it. In a lot of cases, you're still not going to pull through. I always see every other game, I always see one of the major powers end up being a central country like that. But uh, at the same time, more often than not, it's just people getting wiped out right away. So as Austria-Hungary, you don't really have to create alliances right off the bat. I never create an alliance with Koskas unless they contact me about it. If they contact me about it and say, don't attack me, I don't attack you, I'll agree because in most cases, by the time they become somebody I'd want to take over, they're not playing anymore anyway. So that just kind of helps me not have to worry about it the first few days I'm playing. Mm. I never really create an alliance with Greece because I know they're really the first country I'm going to need to worry about taking over within like 2 or 3 weeks to get into Europe. Uh, but if I see that they're taking over these AI nations to the north, that kind of makes me feel threatened. So I might contact them, see if they want to form a non-aggression pact. Because worst case scenario, I could always jump into Europe up here through these two Caucasus regions. But I try as much as possible not to create an alliance with them. Um, but my main focus to start off is always to the south. I have an AI region, Syria, bordering the south with me. So that's the first region I want to take over. So what I do is I literally just highlight these middle regions here and I move them to Halid. Now, the idea here, I don't know why that didn't go over, but he's going there too. The idea here is I'm leaving my 10 basic troops in the regions I want to defend. So Constantinople keeps 10. Um, Famagusta keeps 10. And Rees keeps 10. And the idea here is that could be enough to deter an attack in those regions. I'm building up the fortresses there. Greece could really en masse and attack me here at Constantinople, but I'm not that worried about it because I want to keep that springboard, but I don't want to keep it enough to put more troops into that region until maybe in a few days. So my strategy there is literally just to build up the fortress and hope my 10 troops there is enough to keep him from attacking me, and hopefully he wants to just focus on the AI to start off with. And then my focus stays here on the south. Now it's going to take, I think, my longest traveling troop. It takes him almost a day. Yeah, it's going to take me close to a day to get all these guys in place, so I won't be able to attack again until tomorrow in part 5. But I'll kind of explain the process of what I'm going to be going through. Now I have two options, and it's going to be a lot more clear to me tomorrow, right before I attack, on what I'm going to do. Now, Syria has 40 base troops. So regardless, I can take over Syria. It's not going to be any kind of problem. The first region I would attack is Beirut. That's because I'm pulling my troops out of Khanich, which if I didn't attack Beirut, they can move their troops up here into Khanich and attack me. I would be able to counter them, but I don't want to be countering their offensives. I want to be on the offensive the entire time. I don't want to be defending. So the first one I would attack is Beirut. I would send about 40 there, and then the AI would pull out troops from these regions to try to bring it in to defend, because the AI is stupid. So they'll pull 6 out of Valyria and try to shove them in there, but by then most of their troops would already be dead. They'd just be throwing 6 troops at my 30 or however many are left alive at that point, and it really just makes it easier for me to kill them. And then once they start moving troops out of those regions, I would send the rest of my troops over here to these two and take them over pretty quickly. So in the end, if I do everything correctly, I would be able to kill 40 troops and really only lose roughly 15 to 20 myself. And that's option number 1. Option number 2, and hopefully this will become clear by tomorrow, I'll be able to see if an active player has taken over Arabia, see if they're actively moving around. If I see tomorrow that a player has taken over Arabia, I might wait another day to attack, just to gauge how active they are, whether they wanted that country when they started off. If they didn't want that country when they started off, it'll become evident pretty quick by their lack of troop movement, which I can normally gauge, because if they start off right away that they're active, they'll send troops up here into Syria. If I see Arabia attacking Syria, I back off. And you might be wondering, why would you back off attacking Syria if Arabia was trying to take the land from you? Well, that's because my second goal after Syria is to take Arabia. So if I let Arabia take over Syria, that will diminish their own troop counts. And since they have more regions to defend while they're taking over Syria, that means they can't put as many troops in to attacking the first region. So Arabia is always going to lose more troops than what I'm going to lose when they're taking Syria. So that weakens them more, that makes them easier to take over. So whereas I might lose 15 to 20 troops taking over Syria, I might only lose 30 total, 30 or 40 total taking over both nations. Where if I took them over separately, I'd probably lose twice that. So that's part 4. I'll be back tomorrow with part 5 with a decision on what I'm going to do. And I'll see y'all then.